On the Throttle is brought to you by Sport Bike Wrench. Performance parts, professional advice.
Go ahead, Ernie, do it one more time for us. Again, nice, comfortable body position. He's loose, his legs are a little bit bent. He's not stiff on the bike, which is what's going to cause the problem. Now this time, Ernie, go ahead and do a balance point wheelie. Try not to use the brake at all. So what? Now what he's using, he's literally using the balance point, which, for lack of a better description, everything has a balance. Just as you sit in a chair and you lean back with your feet up. Of course, as the chair goes back farther, you bring your feet up a little bit farther. It's the same principle with the gas. You gas the bike up, and as you gas the bike up, it's going to come up to a specific height. So what you're doing is you're bringing the bike up there, you're keeping it at a balance point, and you're using the gas to get right where you need to be. And as soon as the bike starts to get weightless, because it literally feels like the bike disappears out from underneath you. It's not some feeling to where you're riding the bike still, it just gets more and more weightless. And then all of a sudden it starts to lean back, and you'll feel there's actually like a pivot point where it feels like as it reaches balance point and it does go weightless, that the bike starts to actually go underneath you. Now, it's a very strange feeling, and it's not something that you need to even get close to doing without using the rear brake, which is the next principle we're going to teach you. I want you to employ this principle on every wheelie you do. From the first wheelie that we just mentioned earlier with a little clutch work, chasing it all the way back, you've got to cover the rear brake. This is the most important thing. This is what's going to save your life and save your bike. So go ahead, Ernie. Just do one more just like you were doing earlier. Chase out that balance point. Now see, that time he actually worked the balance point past it without using the rear brake, but using the engine's brake to bring the bike down. That's something that you can do once you're advanced and you're comfortable. But now we're going to teach you the proper way to do every wheelie, which is using the rear brake. Now, when he's in the staggered position and his foot's on the rear brake, you're going to notice the way his foot sits on the rear brake, it's going to have his toes on it, and about the midsole is where the peg's going to be contacting. That's where it's a comfortable position when you're in the staggered stance. Again, every wheelie that you're going to ever try is going to have the idea that the rear brake is the one thing that's going to save you and the one thing that actually makes your wheelie in control. Go ahead, Ernie. Ride a good slow wheelie by using the rear brake. No idle. Powers past the balance point and uses the rear brake to balance out the motorcycle and keep it from flipping over on itself. This type of wheelie is basically when you figured out the way to manipulate the bike's balance point by using good throttle control and a great rear brake foot. That wheelie can be used anywhere at any time. It's always safe. As soon as you know what you're doing with that, you feel like you've actually really accomplished something and you have control of your motorcycle in a lot of situations where you may have been uncomfortable in the past. Okay, as you realize here, this is my Kawasaki that you saw back in my shop at Chicane Motorsports in Las Vegas, Nevada. This bike basically has the bare essentials for a stunt bike. It's what you're going to see me use at demos during this 2008 season. It's a fully faired motorcycle. You'll probably see me with some gearing later, but I've been riding around in the streets with my stock sprocket here. But I also left it on so I can show you folks today that you really don't need a whole lot of extra add-on things to have a good time with your motorcycle. Now, one thing I want to make mention is this place is great. It has a spot that we normally will do all of our stunt riding in, which is a little bit smaller. We'll usually stick between these white lines you've been seeing on the ground here and where that truck is down there and that other fence. That's usually where we can stick because our gearings allow us to have a lot of fun in a real small area. But one thing I want to point out, when you're first learning, you're going to want to have this huge area and be able to use this entire lot to be able to get your wheelie up to a safe and controlled balance point by using the rear brake to save you from flipping over backwards and also to modulate the height of your wheelie. Your rear brake is everything, and what you're going to see me do now is just some regular old wheelies on a stock bike with stock gearing. I don't actually have passenger pegs in this bike because I leave it off. I like to look at my high mount exhaust without it. But I am going to use my foot here in this back part of the seat to get my balance right. And I might even do some wheelies with both my feet on the front, like people at home probably started out like I did for my first few wheelies. the passenger pegs and the rear footrest here, they're about the same. So everything you see me do here, there's really no difference between being on that peg and being in this. Except for this actually takes a little more time to learn the body manipulations to do right. So I'm gonna take off and do a few wheelies, and I might talk you through it if the mics will hold up.
People are climbing while the West is asleep.
All right, so all I'm doing, my speedometer says 12, 13 miles an hour. All right, at 10 miles an hour, I pull in the clutch, and all I did was bring it up to about 5,000 RPMs, and you saw the front end lurch. So now I'm gonna give it to 8,000 RPMs, the bike came up. And here I go. You can take a hand off and wave, we all have fun with it. And I'm pretty much using the power right now, just doing the power wheelie. I'm going 16, 15 miles an hour, 8,000 RPM, and the bike comes up. So now I'm past the balance point and using the rear brake to slow down. And as you can see, I got it nice and slow and real controlled, and I can ease into it. And I bring myself down and slowly check my sides, turn around, and I'm safe. This is how you're gonna do it back home on your stock bike. It's no more complicated than this. It's a real simple process. So just go out and practice, practice, practice. And like that first little pop-up I did, expect to do that a lot. Because until you get it right, where you're popping the clutch out and how much gas you're giving it, it does take a little time to learn. So go ahead and watch 1 or 2 more times. Think about it yourself. Find a nice place, controlled environment. If you want to try wheeling, hopefully we gave you guys the basics to do it.
It's like I feel like I see violence in the sun. The beat on the street is violence. Just dirt and silence. Musical pirates yelling, hold your beat, know the beat. Calling up the classic rock cops. Got your lock pop, took them straight to the top shop.
That's all there is. It's just a wheelie. Coming back again, 15 miles an hour is what my speedo shows. Clutch in, pop the clutch, bring it up real slow. Just balance it out. Use the rear brake as I get past the balance point. And I'm done. And there it is, wheelies.
Quite frankly, that strikes me as the best move. Best move, the second act, cause the second act you don't. I'm at the record stats. Snatch your tracks and stretch your backs. Horn stabs, piano twinkles, drum snaps. The fact is just the same.
India shining as we walk to the beat.